All right, let's dive in. Today, we're heading straight to Chicago.
Chicago?
But not for the deep dish pizza this time.
No, no pizza today.
We're taking a deep dive into the world of personal injury law.
Interesting.
Now, we're going to be focusing on the website of attorney Scott DeSalvo.
Okay. Sound good.
Now, if you're listening, you're probably either facing a legal situation yourself, or maybe you just want to be a little bit more in the know about your rights,
Right.
in the Windy City.
Makes sense.
So, I got to be honest.
Yeah.
When I first saw the nickname My Injury Guy, I was a little bit skeptical.
Ah, I see.
Then I dug a little deeper and saw he boasts a 91% case settlement rate.
Wow, 91%.
Which is pretty impressive, right?
That's very impressive. So what do you think contributes to a success rate that high?
Well, that's what we're going to find out today, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, a high settlement rate, does that tell the whole story?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, it definitely could point to a lawyer who's really good at negotiation, maybe even litigation. But we need to think about some other things, right?
Like what?
Like, are they only taking cases that they know they can win?
Okay, so easy cases.
Right. Or are they shying away from some of the more difficult situations?
Interesting. So it's not just about winning.
It's not just about winning.
It's also about representing all sorts of clients.
Exactly.
And, advocating for them no matter how complex the situation is.
Absolutely. And there's another piece of the puzzle, too.
Okay.
Insurance companies.
Uh-huh.
These personal injury cases, they often involve some really tricky insurance policies.
I bet.
And you've got to negotiate with those adjusters who, they're good at what they do.
Right.
They want to minimize those payouts.
Right.
So how a lawyer handles those companies can really impact the outcome.
So a high settlement rate might show us that the lawyer knows how to negotiate.
Yeah.
And that they really understand the ins and outs of those insurance companies. So let's dig into who this Scott DeSalvo is.
Okay.
And what makes his approach unique.
Sounds good.
So, looking at his website, he seems to have some pretty impressive qualifications.
He does. He's got some special training from some big-name trial lawyer colleges.
Okay.
You've got the Jerry Spence Trial Lawyers College.
Wow.
And the KTI, the Edge Trial Lawyers College.
So this isn't just a guy.
No, not at all.
Who, just came up with a catchy name.
Right.
He's really put in the work.
Yeah, he's built a solid foundation, for sure.
His website says he's handled thousands of cases and recovered millions of dollars for his clients.
That's a lot of experience.
That's a lot of experience.
What's interesting is he got into this because of something personal.
Oh, really?
His dad, a truck driver, got hurt pretty badly.
Oh, no.
And he didn't get good legal help.
That's awful.
So for DeSalvo, it's not just about winning. It's about making things right, making sure other people don't go through what his father did.
So you can see how that personal story has really shaped his approach.
It really has. And that comes across in how he treats his clients.
Oh, so?
He's all about being accessible, available 24/7.
24/7.
And he really emphasizes clear communication
That's good.
throughout the whole legal process.
So he wants people to feel informed.
Exactly.
And like they're a part of the process.
Empowered? Yeah.
That 24/7 availability, though, is that really necessary?
Well, it sounds good, but could it create some unrealistic expectations for the clients?
Right, and maybe even lead to burnout for the lawyer.
Yeah, it's something to think about for sure.
It's a balance, I guess, between being responsive and also having those boundaries.
Exactly.
Now, I noticed something else on his website.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
He's offering a free DVD and book.
A DVD and a book?
Yeah, all about explaining injury cases.
Is that common for lawyers to do?
I don't know, is it?
It's becoming more common. It's a good way for lawyers to, educate potential clients and show off their expertise. And people can learn about their rights without any pressure.
So it kind of shows that he's willing to teach and empower people.
Exactly.
Even before they become clients.
And he also works on a contingency basis.
Okay, can you explain what that means for people who don't speak lawyer?
Sure. Imagine you have a personal trainer.
Okay.
They only get paid if you hit your fitness goals. So they're totally invested in your success, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of like contingency, okay? The lawyer only gets paid if they win.
So they don't win.
The client usually doesn't owe any fees.
So the lawyer has to really believe in the case.
Right, and work hard for their client.
It also takes some of the risk away from the client.
Yeah, especially when they might have medical bills piling up.
And missing work.
Exactly.
So that seems like a pretty good deal.
It can be.
Okay.
But there are some things to consider.
Like what?
Well, some people say that contingency fees might discourage lawyers from taking on cases that aren't going to lead to a big payout.
Even if the client, has a good case.
Right. It's
There's two sides to every coin.
Exactly.
So you got to think about all of that before you decide.
Absolutely.
So moving on, DeSalvo's website lists a wide variety of cases that he handles.
It does.
Everything from car accidents to slip and falls, workers' compensation, nursing home injuries, even dog bites.
Wow, he covers a lot.
He does. He seems to cover a lot.
Yeah, and he even mentions taking on tough cases that maybe other lawyers would turn down.
Interesting. What do you think that says about him?
I think it shows that he's committed to fighting for the underdog.
So those who might not have the resources or the knowledge to go it alone.
Exactly.
Now, you mentioned workers' compensation. Can you dig a little deeper into what that actually means?
Sure. Workers' compensation is a system to protect employees who get injured on the job. It provides benefits like medical coverage and lost wages, regardless of who is at fault.
So it's a good thing.
It is, but filing a claim can be tricky. The system can be complicated.
So it's important to have a lawyer.
Absolutely, someone who knows the ins and outs.
Right, and can fight for you to get what you deserve.
Exactly.
Now, something else I notice on the website are all these client testimonials.
Oh, yeah, the testimonials.
They really highlight the impact he's had on people's lives.
It's not just financial either.
No.
It's emotional support, too.
Oh, okay.
These cases, they can really take a toll on people.
Yeah, of course.
A good lawyer understands that.
So it's not just about the legal stuff.
Yeah.
It's about seeing the person.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about DeSalvo's background.
We have.
We've talked about his approach and the kinds of cases he handles.
Yeah.
But let's get down to the brass tacks.
Okay.
What are the actual benefits of hiring a personal injury lawyer?
Okay, well, imagine this.
Okay.
You're in a car accident.
Okay.
You're in pain.
Yeah.
The medical bills are adding up. You can't work. And you have piles of paperwork and insurance forms.
Sounds overwhelming.
It's incredibly stressful.
Yeah.
Especially when you just want to focus on getting better.
Right.
A lawyer takes all of that off your plate.
So they handle everything.
Yeah, gathering evidence, dealing with the insurance company, even going to court if they have to.
Wow. Okay, so they're like your advocate.
They're your shield against all that legal stuff.
So you can just concentrate on getting better.
Exactly.
And there's also the financial benefits, right?
Right. A lawyer will fight to make sure your medical bills are covered.
Okay.
You get paid for the time you miss from work, and that you get the maximum amount you deserve for all that pain and suffering.
So having a lawyer could really be the difference between financial stability and complete ruin after an accident.
That's true. And don't forget the emotional relief, too.
Oh,
knowing that someone's got your back
yeah,
can take a lot of stress off your shoulders.
That's huge.
It is.
Now, on DeSalvo's website, there's a huge FAQ section.
There is.
That I think could be really helpful for someone
Absolutely.
who's looking for a lawyer.
Yeah.
What are some of the key things you found there?
Well, one thing is that finding the best lawyer isn't just about who's closest to you.
Right. Right.
You need to think about their experience, how they communicate, and whether they specialize in your type of injury.
Makes sense.
And DeSalvo also talks about feeling comfortable with your lawyer.
Yeah, feeling like you can trust them.
Exactly. It's like any important relationship.
Right.
Trust is key.
Now, what about that no-win, no-fee policy?
Right. The contingency fee.
Yeah. How does that work?
So, as we talked about, it means the lawyer only gets paid if you win.
Right.
Which means you don't have to pay those big upfront costs.
Okay.
But, as I said, there might be some downsides.
Right, like they might not want to take a risky case.
Exactly. So it's really important to talk about all of that openly and honestly.
So transparency is key.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so on his website, DeSalvo also offers this free guide.
A guide?
Yeah, it's called The Ultimate Guide to Car Accident Injury in Illinois.
Okay, interesting.
What are some things people might not realize about their rights in those situations?
Well, there are a lot of misconceptions out there.
Like what?
Like some people think if they're partially at fault, they can't get any compensation at all.
Oh, interesting.
But that's not true.
Okay.
Illinois has what's called modified comparative negligence.
Okay.
Meaning you can still get something even if you were partially at fault.
Okay.
As long as it's less than 50% your fault.
That's good to know.
It is.
So this guide
Yeah.
could be really useful for anyone in an accident.
Absolutely. No matter who they think is at fault.
It covers all kinds of accidents.
Yeah. Car crashes, truck accidents, motorcycles, pedestrians, even bicycles.
Wow. That's a lot. It gives advice on what to do right after an accident, how to deal with insurance companies, and how to make sure your rights are protected.
It's all about being prepared.
Yeah. Better to be safe than sorry.
Exactly.
That sounds like a must-read to me.
It is. Knowledge is power, right?
Absolutely.
Especially in these situations.
You know, when you're dealing with something as complicated as the legal system.
It really is.
So it's always better to be proactive.
Absolutely.
And learn as much as you can.
You got it. Yeah, preparation is key.
It really is. It really is.
And you know, one thing that really struck me about DeSalvo's site is how much he talks about the emotional impact of these injuries.
That's true. He doesn't shy away from it.
No, he doesn't.
He really acknowledges the fear, the uncertainty, even the anger that can come with, you know, being injured and having your life completely turned upside down.
Right, and those feelings, they're just as real as the physical pain. And they can be just as debilitating.
That's a good point.
And I think that's where having a lawyer who gets it, who understands what you're going through, makes a huge difference.
It's not just about the law.
No, it's not.
It's about that human connection.
It's about empathy.
And I think when we look at the bigger picture, it shows how legal representation is changing.
Yeah.
It's not just about winning a case anymore.
Right. It's about that holistic support.
Helping clients deal with everything.
The emotional, the psychological, along with the legal.
So it's not just about the settlement check.
It's about getting your life back on track.
And I think DeSalvo really drives that home.
Yeah.
He even talks about how his father's experience really shaped his whole approach to practicing law.
Made him more sensitive.
More aware of the human side of things.
Exactly. And it's a good reminder that even in law, which seems so objective, those personal stories, they really matter.
They shape how cases are handled.
Absolutely. The strategies that are used and ultimately the outcome.
Right, because behind every case file, there's a person.
A real person with real problems.
Exactly.
Okay, so someone listening right now might be thinking, all right, this is all great, but how do I even know if I have a case?
Right.
What advice would you give them based on what we've seen on DeSalvo's website?
Well, a lot of good injury lawyers offer free consultations.
Okay.
It's a good way to get an assessment without any risk.
So you can see if you have a legitimate claim.
Exactly.
And it's a good chance to, like, meet the lawyer.
Yeah.
Get a feel for them.
Get a feel for how they work.
See if you click.
Right. See if you'd be comfortable working together.
It's a two-way street.
It is. The lawyer's checking out your case.
Yeah.
And you're checking out the lawyer.
Are there any, like, red flags people should watch out for?
Definitely. Watch out for lawyers who make big promises.
Okay.
Who pressure you into signing things right away.
Or who downplay the risks.
So basically, anyone who doesn't seem honest and upfront.
Exactly. A good lawyer will be straight with you.
They'll explain everything clearly.
Right. Without any scare tactics.
It comes back to trust and transparency.
Absolutely. You want someone who's competent, ethical,
Yeah.
and really has your best interests at heart.
Okay, so we've talked about that.
Yeah.
Something else I noticed on DeSalvo's website is that he offers to advance case costs.
Oh, right. What does that even mean?
Yeah, what does that mean and why is it important?
So advancing case costs.
Yeah.
It means the lawyer covers the expenses for the case.
Like what kind of expenses?
Court fees, expert witness fees, things like that.
Right.
And those costs can really add up.
I bet.
Especially if the client is already struggling financially.
Yeah, of course. So DeSalvo is basically saying, I believe in your case so much.
Right.
I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is.
Exactly. It shows commitment.
And confidence.
Yes. But of course, you always want to make sure you understand how those costs will be handled.
If you win the case.
Right. A good lawyer will be upfront about all of that.
Transparency again.
It's essential.
We've talked a lot about the legal and the practical side of personal injury. But we can't forget the emotional toll.
Absolutely. And DeSalvo gets that.
Yeah.
He talks about finding a lawyer who understands and supports you. And I think that's fascinating.
What is?
Because it means legal representation isn't just about knowing the law.
Right.
It's about emotional intelligence, too.
So a good lawyer knows that their client isn't just a case.
It's a person.
A person who's going through something really tough.
Something potentially traumatic.
It's about building a relationship based on trust, empathy, and open communication.
It's about having someone in your corner.
Who fights for you.
But also listens to you.
Understands what you're feeling.
And guides you through it all with compassion.
So it's about advocating for the whole person.
Exactly, not just their legal claim.
And that can make all the difference.
In their recovery and their overall well-being.
DeSalvo calls this a client-centered approach.
He does.
And you can see it in everything he does.
In how his practice is structured, how he communicates.
And even in his fee arrangements.
And I think it's about shifting the power dynamic.
Okay.
Giving the client a sense of control.
Yeah.
Even when they're feeling vulnerable and uncertain.
And that feeling of empowerment
can be incredibly healing.
Okay. As we keep digging into this idea of DeSalvo's approach, I'm curious about some of the misconceptions out there.
About personal injury?
Yeah, what are some of the things people get wrong?
Well, one big one is that you need a really serious injury to have a valid claim.
Like a catastrophic injury.
Right, but that's not true at all.
So even a slip and fall at the grocery store or a dog bite at the park, those could be grounds for a claim.
Absolutely. Any injury that's caused by someone else's negligence
could be a case.
Now, of course, how serious the injury is will affect how much the claim is worth.
Right, right.
But it doesn't mean you can't seek compensation.
For your medical bills, your lost wages.
Exactly. And for the pain and suffering you've experienced.
Another misconception I've heard is that these claims are frivolous.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that one too.
And that they just benefit greedy lawyers.
Right, but that's a harmful stereotype.
And it keeps people from getting the help they deserve.
Because personal injury law is about holding people accountable.
For their actions.
For negligence.
And making sure the victims are compensated.
It's about restoring balance.
Making the injured person whole again.
As much as possible.
And we also can't forget about the insurance companies.
Right, they're often the ones on the other side.
Yeah.
And their businesses.
They want to protect their bottom line.
Which means paying out as little as possible.
So that's why having a lawyer is so important.
Yeah.
They can negotiate with the insurance company.
They can fight for your rights.
And make sure you're treated fairly.
It levels the playing field.
Okay, so we've busted some myths.
We have.
We've talked about the benefits of having a lawyer. And we've explored DeSalvo's approach.
His client-centered approach.
Yeah. As we wrap up this part of our deep dive.
Okay.
What's the one thing you want our listeners to take away?
I'd say the most important thing is knowledge and preparation.
Like we talked about before.
Exactly.
You can't prevent every accident.
Right. Right.
But you can be ready.
You can understand your rights, know what to do if you're ever injured.
Yeah.
And that can make all the difference.
It's about empowerment.
It is. Knowledge is power.
Especially in the legal world.
It can give you peace of mind,
Yeah.
financial security, and ultimately help you recover and heal more smoothly.
Yeah, it's like having that roadmap.
Yeah.
Yeah, so even if you hit a detour, you can still get where you need to go. It's funny, we started talking about this lawyer and his, kind of catchy nickname.
My injury guy.
Yeah. But what really stands out to me, how much he wants to make the legal process clear and easy to understand.
It's true.
And how much he wants to give people the information they need to make good decisions.
Exactly. He's all about empowering his clients.
And I think that's a bigger trend we're seeing.
Yeah.
Not just in law.
No.
But in a lot of fields. Like, what if we had this kind of approach in healthcare?
Oh, that would be amazing.
Or finance?
Right. Or even technology.
Imagine if we could just easily understand these complicated systems.
It would make such a difference.
People would feel more confident, more in control.
And they could make better choices for themselves.
And I think that's what we try to do here on the Deep Dive.
Yeah, I think so too.
We take these, sometimes intimidating topics and try to make them interesting and understandable.
Break them down. Make them accessible.
So people can learn something new.
And feel empowered.
And maybe even a little bit more curious about the world around them.
Exactly.
So, as we wrap up our Chicago adventure,
our deep dive into personal injury law,
what's one final thought you want to leave our listeners with?
Well, I guess I'd say this.
Okay.
We can't control everything that happens to us.
No, we can't.
But we can control how prepared we are.
Right.
Whether it's knowing our legal rights.
Yeah.
Or managing our finances. Or even just knowing where to go for help.
It's about having the resources.
Exactly.
And the knowledge.
Knowledge is power.
It really is.
And it can help us get through those tough times.
Well said.
And remember, you're not alone.
There are people out there who can help.
Like Scott DeSalvo.
Yeah.
And his team.
They're dedicated to guiding people through these challenges.
And supporting them every step of the way.
So, as we say goodbye to Chicago.
Yeah.
and this deep dive into the world of personal injury. Remember to stay curious.
Keep learning.
And never underestimate the power of knowledge.
You got it.
312-500-4500. If you got hurt, you gotta give 'em a try. Call